Alright, we are here at Lowndes High School. We are playing in the Elite 8 for Mario Kart today. We are playing against Alliance Academy for Innovation. They call themselves the Avengers. Though I'm a little disappointed that they didn't show up with Miis that were dressed as the Avengers, but it's fine. Both teams have readied up. We are about to start the process. For those who have not tuned in before, we are going to be doing best 2 out of 3 sets. And it is 6 races per set, whichever team with the highest score. And we're starting now, it looks like. So we are looking to maintain our state title this year. We are the GHSA champions from last year in Mario Kart, and so we went on and won the PlayVS Cup, where they invite a bunch of different state champions to compete. And so we are also the PlayVS Eastern national winners, and we are looking to maintain all that today.
Now, this team actually did make it into the PlayVS Cup for 2025. So it could be a tough match. And our first track is Wii Moonview Highway. It's pretty much an exclusive runner. It doesn't have a ton of cuts, but there are some cuts that you can really use to get ahead if you know the track, and then line work is a very important skill on this track.
Alright, so we're starting off a point behind, but we're getting warmed up here. We had an unfortunate red shell hit. I don't think we saw it on the stream. We did have first and second all the way up until the last turn, and then an unfortunate backing of a red shell did end up sending our player Toast back to 5th place. But it's fine. We've got 5 more races, plenty of time to catch up. Our team is one of those where we can pull out a top 4 to get a big jump at any moment. So let's see what happens with the random track selection here. This map right here, we've got a good mushroom shortcut. And so bagging is a good opportunity where you can get some mushrooms in the back and then jump ahead later on. So we'll see what we can do here. All right, we got a 1-2-4, so exactly what we needed to bring some momentum back into this. And just like that, we went from 1 point behind to 10 point ahead. That really shows you how important those top 2 spots are. That's where you get the most push points, with 10 points going to first, 8 points going to second, and then from there it's 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So that's where you get a lot of the advantage. If you can take first, second, every race, then every other spot really doesn't matter.
Yeah, with first, when you take first, second, you gain 3 points every time if your other 2 players go bottom 2. So, and gaining 3 points can be a pretty big gain over time, as you can gain a total of 18 points just doing that.
And we see a 1-2-5 on our, I don't know, what is this called? Something with dirt bikes. Excite bike. Yeah. Alright, so we are now 17 points ahead. We've got a lot of peanuts in the gallery today cheering on our Valhalla Vroomers. Some past teammates, some players from other teams are here cheering them on. Definitely excited about this. Halfway through, so we just finished the 3rd race right there. And I'm feeling pretty good about this overall. What do you think?
Yeah, really, if we can just keep up this momentum and just keep going ahead, it can really, we could pretty much finish this before it actually ends.
And this is one of my favorite maps right here. I grew up playing this one on the GameCube every Saturday. Double Dash was peak.
The cuts on this track, like the gap cut and then the one where you jump the rocks, I still can't quite do it every time.
Yeah, this is going to be fun to watch these players at this level do some of these shortcuts. So for those who haven't played this map in a while, you might catch on to something.
They just used shock, and 3 of our players dodged it using invincibility items.
And craziness happening going into that third lap. We had first, second, third, fourth, and the other team pulled shock, which makes all of our players get hit and then they shrink for a little bit. And we had 3 of our players able to dodge it. We had 2 in bullets and then 1 in star at the same time, and just absolute crazy. Very, very good coincidence for us to definitely give us a good advantage with that 1, 2, 3, 4 final placement. Or was it 1, 2, 3, 5? We had Monk's fall back at the end. Yep. And Riverside Park, we feel like the online for Nintendo seems to favor DLC tracks, and so that's been one of our emphasis when we practice, is to work on these DLC maps, just because of the frequency at which they show up.
Yeah, and then also just they're fairly new tracks. Like every base game track existed since the Wii U era, so pretty much a decade for all the base game tracks. So practicing these newer DLC tracks that most players probably don't have much experience on is very important.
One, 2, 3, 6. Another good point game, putting us at 122 to their 73.
So our next track here is Boo Lake. It is very much a runner track. It has one small cut towards the middle that you can take with a shroom, or you can take it without a mushroom boost and just use the drift boost.
Yeah, I'm not good at this one, personally. This is one of those ones that I always end up missing that cut, regardless of having a mushroom or not. But all these players are better than me, so they're pretty good and consistent at it.
Yeah, once you learn the track in time trials, I would say it's one of my favorites to run, since it's quite a predictable track. It doesn't have really any moving parts to worry about.
That's true. I just really hate the water. everything. But once again, we see the game seems to be favoring these DLC tracks again. What the last three for sure have been DLC. And scores are looking about the same as they have been, which is good. We always want to see this much of a point gain. 149 to 85. We've got one more race left in the set, but it's gonna take a lot. Oh wait, that was the last one. Okay, there we go. 149 to 85. That is a set win for Lowndes. We just need to do one more, and then that will secure the top 4 for us. For those who haven't been keeping up, Lowndes is ranked number 1 going into the playoffs. We've got a few other teams that have been pretty good that have been on our trail, and they've all ended up being on the other side. And the other team has readied up, so we're going to go straight into set 2 while all the players are still warm. We're going straight into it. The other team is saying good luck. We're sending that back to them. GG's in the chat, so to speak. And some of you have probably noticed that we have to select random every single time. That's part of the rules for this. Otherwise, players could just select tracks that they think they're good at in general, which would be a lot of the same maps as one of our players just touched on. But man, Sky High Sunday, this is one of those maps that I've never really cared for on Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. However, Mario Kart World, this is a pretty fun track because it turns into Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2.
Yeah, in my opinion, the tracks I don't like nearly as much are generally the ones without much technical tricks or intricacies to learn. And in 8 Deluxe, it's just not much going on, but yeah, in World, they added all sorts of little tricks, cuts. It's nearly a different track.
One of the things that I think is psychologically interesting about this track is you can hit poles and then it gives you a speed boost. There's that part with the railing at the beginning, and mentally I don't want to hit railing because I feel like that would stop me. However, it ends up giving you a speed boost. And starting off this set a little bit stronger than the last set. We started the last one a point behind, and this one we're starting up a little bit further than that. What is it, 26-13? Yeah, that's a good start. I like that. And once again, we see DLC shows up. The DLC strikes back.
So our next track is Berlin Byways, yet another DLC. This time it is one of the city tracks, which all the city tracks are based on a real-world city from just different ones around the world. And generally, the unique piece that they have is that each lap isn't the same. Isn't really a lap. Each lap is a different part of the track that you get to play.
Yeah, what they introduced this on the mobile app that Mario Kart did for a little while. What they call it, Mario Kart Tour on the phone. I remember playing that 8 years ago. And they did a whole bunch of these. They've got them for Singapore. They've got them for Amsterdam. We're at Berlin. There's Tokyo, New York. A whole bunch of ones. These are one of the tracks that we've noticed some teams kind of struggle with. We've always tried to put an emphasis with our players about practicing tracks because each lap is different. And which means instead of just having to know one layout, you got to know 3 layouts, and you got to know when to expect different things. And so there's a lot more moving pieces to this. It really shows who's got the track knowledge. Alright, so not the best points for us, but what's important is that we did take first right there, which gives us those additional push points. And something that our players were talking about in the middle of this is you'll notice that a lot of teams are running Yoshi Teddy Buggy or Yoshi Cat Cruiser because that is the meta kart combination, and we really only have one player that kind of runs that kart combo in our team. Everyone else kind of runs slightly off meta.
On that note, there are characters that have the exact same stats, like statistical, I guess, weights as Yoshi.
That's true. Our PJ player is technically a Yoshi in disguise, and they won't admit it. Now, this is an interesting track that comes out. We finally see something that's not DLC, but this is one of the poster childs for the bagging strategy. And you'll notice that currently PK is just sitting at the back along with one of the players from the other team. They're kind of competing for last place right now. The whole strategy with this track is you want to get some good items because there's a massive shortcut at the end. Something else you always want to do is get coins. Coins give you half a frame of speed. So you could be running the slowest kart combination in the game, but as long as you have all 10 coins, you end up going faster than the fastest kart combo in 0 coins. You'll notice that our player PK has already achieved 10 coins before really even reaching halfway through this lap.
really, you might see how far back he is, but it's very impressive, as you can see, how on this track, how quickly you can get back to the front, even if you're way in the back.
And just like you said, you know, he was almost a whole half lap down, and now he's got 7th place in his sights. And showing off PK's screen that whole time really demonstrates that bagging strategy. You know, he was half lap down in the first lap, and then he gets all the way up to right behind 7th. And then really in that first third, he started overpassing players from the other team, who may not have that coin total because they were getting hit with items throughout the first lap. And then PK just ended up zooming through and really maintained that first spot all the way to the last turn until one of his teammates used the mushroom to take that shortcut. And everyone's favorite, we have a Rainbow Road coming up. I think that's the first time today, right?
That's the first one.
No, this is my least favorite of all the Rainbow Roads, personally. And that's because I have a skill issue, and I can't seem to stay on the track and hit the shortcut halfway through this one.
Really say this is probably one of my favorites myself, just because of all the little cuts and routes you can take to really change how the game goes.
But that's mainly because you're better than me. My VR is in the is 13,000. Yours is like 20 something, 30,000. And we saw PK hitting kind of the classic mushroomless cut for this track, one that I fall off every single time I try to hit it. Like PK is now 2 for 2 on that shortcut. I would be 0 for 2. There it is, a 3-for-3 shortcut from PK. Something that will take me hours and hours and hours to practice if I wanted to try that. And point advantage there. They took first, but something that's interesting with the way that these points work out is even if you take second, third, fourth, and fifth every single race, that's still going to end up being a victory for you in the end.
So our next track is Twisted Mansion.
Yeah, I'm going to call you out for this one, Orange. This is kind of one of those infamous tracks for us. We were playing against Brookwood High School a few years ago, and we ended up tying 117 to 117 in the main set, so we had to go into a one-race tiebreaker, and, well, you threw it for us, didn't you?
Tiebreaker. We got Big Blue, best track.
Oh man, we wouldn't have had to go into the tiebreaker if Orange hadn't decided to go Leroy Jenkins and use a mushroom to run into a wall that was far away from the finish line.
Make it a little more interesting.
I'd like to raise my heart rate level by making it the tiebreakers when we could have just won it outright by 2 points.
Another interesting thing relating to this track is when we were going up against Dr. Phillips High School in Florida for finals of the National PlayVS Cup, we got this track like 2-3 times.
I wasn't paying attention to what tracks were showing up. I was just stressing out. Right now, it looks like we've got 1-2. We've got Ducking up in first, followed by Toast. And we've got Munch and PK kind of holding up the back, trying to take the hits from the other team, from what it looks like. Ensure that their other teammates have a clear driveway to just get out ahead. That was kind of an interesting final placement. One of our kind of strategies between the players is that usually Ducking and Toast are our players that will run out front, and then PK will kind of sit in the middle, and then Munch will be in the far back doing some bagging, trying to get some good items. But we ended up seeing PK and Munch finishing first, second, then we saw Toast and Ducking kind of finished up in the middle there. And that's something that this team has really been working on, is how they can pivot between the roles. Yes, it's nice that some of us are able to front run, some of us are able to bag. Being able to go in between those roles really gives you a lot of flexibility when playing against other schools. And we're going into the last race here. Decent point advantage for Lowndes, so let's just see if they can continue to maintain that momentum.
Yeah, this next track is another city track. This time it is based around New York City. So it's fairly windy. You can see that the city tracks are pretty different from track to track.
I'll say for myself that when I visited New York, it didn't look this nice. And we've got 1-2, which will secure the victory for us. Final score of, drumroll, 140-94. So that was Lowndes, number 1 ranked team going against the Avengers Alliance Academy of Innovation. We're seed number 9 going into this. And so with that, we have moved past the Elite 8, and we'll be moving to in-person semifinals on December 13th. So let's take a look and see if any of the other teams have logged in their information as well. We might have been one of the first schools to get stuff turned in on PlayVS. And refreshing the page, it doesn't look like we have any other teams who have submitted results. Yep, right now it's just us, but looking forward, we've got CMD Inc. and Cartoon Dads playing each other. Trinity Christian with CMD. They've been one of our top competitors, along with Chattahoochee as the Cartoon Dads. They're playing together right now. Go check out Trinity eSports live stream page. I'm sure that they'll be streaming this match as well, and I'm sure that will be a really good one to watch, considering that these were the 2 schools that took a set off of us this year. We also have North Paulding playing against Walton High School on the other side of the bracket, so we'll see what happens there. And also on our side for the semifinals, we see Seckinger High School Avalanche Cowboys that ended up taking our Fjord Fusion team out the other day. They're playing Adairsville High School, the V-Toads. So we'll see. We'll be playing one of those 2 teams on December 13 in semifinals. I don't know how you feeling about that.
Yeah, so this is actually the first time Seckinger has made it to this far into playoffs. They've been pretty regular at making it in, but they've just never made it this far. The in-person semifinals is going to be a very interesting dynamic compared to how we sit in a room and play.
Yeah, for sure. The in-person's always different. And Seckinger has been one of those teams, they've been in the top 8 consistently the past few years, and they've really been looking to make a name for themselves. And so if they can make it through today, they will kind of beat their record that they've been working on for the last few years. And before we close it off, we don't see any updates, so I guess the other teams are still playing. Go check them out on their channels. And thanks for tuning in.